recent history and the surface probably suggested that something around 165, 170 was the kind of score you're looking to get. In the context of that, 187 made by Punjab looking very, very good indeed. But we won't fully judge it until the 40 overs are bowled in this game. But having said that, runs on the board, led by Shikhar Dhawan, 88 of 59 deliveries, and a great partnership with Bhanuka Rajapaksa, 42 of 32. We heard chatting at the end of the innings. Livingston didn't really get much time in there, neither did Johnny Bairstow. Joined on Cricbuzz Live by Simon Doull and Harsha Bhogle. First up, Harsha, in isolation, 187 definitely looks a few more than anyone bargained for.
And it's a good enough score. I mean, if the bowlers can't defend 187, they've got nowhere to go, because I think this is a good enough score. Very interesting what Rajapaksa said at the end. He said they were looking for 150. And I mean, so that puts our numbers of 165, 170 in perspective. And you saw even Livingston, when he came, struggled with one or two, got out to the slowness of the ball. But don't underestimate those 20 runs that Livingston scored. I think they could be the difference. But this is a master innings from Shikhar Dhawan. Interesting also, isn't it, that Punjab changed their attack? They went back to the old-fashioned way, slowish track. Let's play ourselves in. Let's get a move on, and then build the innings and got the runs that they needed. This is a very good score.
Well, interesting you should say that, Harsha, because that's exactly the question I posed to Simon Doull on Cricbuzz Combox. Is this the new Punjab? And I think, Doull, you were of the opinion that they were playing the conditions.
Yes.
Yeah, just assessed the conditions really well, I thought. Shikhar did it very well up front. I think Rajapaksa could have gone a little bit earlier, but I just think they assessed it and thought, all right, it's a 165, 170 surface. 10, 15 above that will be above par, and we can give our bowlers every chance. But if we try and go too hard too early, we could end up 4 for 70, 4 for 60, and not get to that 160 mark. So I just think they assessed it quite well early on. The run rate inside the power play was moderate in relative terms compared to what's happened in the tournament so far. But then they upped the ante through the middle, and then were very good through the back the back nine, really, back 9 or 10.
Now, I know, Harsha, you're suggesting at this stage you think it's a good enough total. If, and it's a big if, it does get chased down, do you then turn around and say we could have even got 200, and they would have got 200 probably had Livingston and Bairstow got more balls to play?
There's no point saying it then. If you want to say it, we should say it now. And if you have to say it now, all I'll say is I think it's a good score with a good bowling side to defend these on a slow track. If there is no due, I agree entirely with Dooley. I think Rajapaksa needed to go, because he's the big hitter, he needed to go 2-3 overs early, knowing that you had so much firepower. Even someone like Jitesh, you had someone like a Jitesh Sharma to come. I would have given Rajapaksa the license to go about 3 overs before.
Yeah, we were even, there were even people suggesting that a license is equivalent to the now infamous retired out, but I wasn't even going that far, Dooley. I think we like differences of opinion, and listening to two of your colleagues in the box, Kevin Peterson, Deep Das Gupta, they were of absolutely opposite opinions. Deep is saying, it's fine, let Shikhar play this way. They'll get to 180. And KP was like, I want Liam in now.
Yeah, it was back in Livingston. I mean, he's got a lot of time for Liam Livingston, as as a lot of us do. When we've seen him perform at different places around the world, not so much until this year at the IPL. So look, you want him facing a few more deliveries, so they could have perhaps started to go a little bit more from about the 14th over. And Shikhar could have decided that he was going to anchor the innings, but Rajapaksa had to take a few more risks. Interesting, isn't it? We've seen a couple of hundreds in the last week. Butler off, was it 63 balls or 62 balls? KL's was 60 balls, and Shikhar faced 59 tonight for his 88. So it just puts into perspective how well Josh Butler and even KL Rahul's innings I thought was superb, off just 60 deliveries. I know people will say that it was a little bit slow at the start, but the bottom line is he got their team to a winning score, and Shikhar may have done the same tonight on what looks to be a fairly tough sort of a surface.
Yeah, I think the difference there was we saw, I think it was the last 50 came of almost nothing in the previous game from KL Rahul after 24 balls. But I think it was more about the 6 hitting power of those players versus Shikhar, who was just maneuvering it so well tonight. Harsha?
Oh, sorry. You were looking at Dooley. I thought you were responding to Dooley. So I was sort of bowing to his knowledge. Look, I see where Dooley is going. And if you look 88 of 59 balls, say he got his 100 in another 4 or 5 balls. It's 100 of 64, 65 balls, which you take. Look at that strike rate, 149. So 150. 150 strike rates a 180 game. A 180 game, they've made 187. So if your opener bats half the balls for a 150 strike rate, which is a 180 game, then you're okay because he's providing the stability. You expect 2 of the 19 of 10 balls kind of innings. We saw 19 of 7 balls, but the 14 extras with 11 wides have added. So those are the little areas that when Punjab come out to bowl, they'll have to be careful of. The 11 wides, for example. And don't forget those 2 no balls that went beyond the cut surface of the pitch, which a lot of people might wonder about later on. But yeah, that's the laws. We're not going to go into that. So I think it's a good score. I think Shikhar's done all right. It's the 130 I have a small issue with. 42 of 32 Rajapaksa. But, we all thought 170 is a good score. And they've got 187. So I think they've played it all right. Yeah, given what Livingston can do, yeah, you were tempted to see if you could reach 200. But even then, that's how the ebbs and flows of the game go on. I think they're still done okay.
And he did show us a little glimpse of what he could do on that very surface. And I think that sort of answered a couple of the questions. Can he get in quickly?
He also showed, sorry to interrupt you, but he also showed that if you start going to wallop every single ball, it's not easy because the ball was gripping.
And the way he got out.
The ball was gripping. Yeah, the ball is gripping from Bravo in the last over. It's going to continue being like that. Dew's not going to come after 9:30. I'm not a weather expert, but I'm assuming that if it had to come, it would have come by 9:30.
You just said that with such authority, Harsha. You shouldn't have followed up your comment. You just should have stopped. Dew is not going to come after 9:30. Done.
But let's. In all fairness, the fact that they've got to a good score, you've got to give credit to Gabbar. At the start of the season, we said Gabbar in Punjab, he just belongs there. And now if you look at the numbers, the career numbers, Dooley, of Shikhar Dhawan, definitely has to attain legendary status. Look at that. Look at the kind of names in there. They are all IPL icons. And he is at number 2.
Yeah, superb, isn't he? What has he got? 45 or 46 half centuries as well. Now, it's just, he's been such a good player. 199 innings. He's 400 and change behind the great Virat Kohli, and well ahead of Rohit after this. After a lot less innings. David Warner looks like the guy that could sort of hunt them all down in a lot less time as far as innings are concerned. But his numbers are superb. He's just been absolutely brilliant, and obviously his time at Delhi was good under Ricky Ponting. He's continuing on that form and continuing on that sort of that style of play for the most part. I think at Punjab tonight was slightly different, but as Harsha said, he's still striking at 150. And if you bat through the innings and only face half the balls or less than half the balls and strike at 150, it allows guys around you to strike at 180, 190 at the back end, even more. And then you do turn those sorts of scores into 200 scores. So I think he's a smart man too, Shikhar Dhawan. I think he assessed the situation and assessed the conditions very, very well. And if Punjab do not win tonight, I would certainly not be blaming it on him. The bowlers are going to have to bowl pretty poorly, or someone from Chennai is going to have to play, one or two players are going to have to play fairly special knocks, I think, on that surface, the way we've seen it play, to get Chennai across the line tonight.
One thing I'd like to see, Gautam, is the number of dot balls. Because you normally look at good innings and you say there's got to be about 25 boundaries is a really good innings. And they've scored 21. They get those 4 more boundaries from some of the dot balls, they've got to almost 200. So my suspicion, the dot balls were very few. From that point of view, if you look at 25, if you look at about 40, 45 dot balls, 25 boundaries, you normally get about 185, 190. They've got there with 21. That shows they were rotating it better, but it also shows if 2 or 3 more boundaries and they could have got to 200. That's what Rajapaksa had to play.
Yeah, I suspect that's because we remember early on in the innings, there was a couple he was wafting outside the off stump, and they're dot balls that you actually remember. But to finish off, Harsha, on Shikhar Dhawan, not often spoken in the same breath in glowing proportions as a Virat Kohli or a Rohit Sharma, yet he's up there. yet he gets those runs, and he gets those runs sometimes, like today, on a pitch that is not one that you want to take home with you as a batter.
And I'm going to go one step further, having spoken to him a couple of times. Today, Shikhar Dhawan is part philosopher, part cricketer. I think he's been through a bit in life, but he's very calm at the moment. And I think one of the reasons he's that calm is, I wonder if he's almost becoming spiritual. I know there's no connection. You can't draw a connection between that and the runs you score. But he gives me the impression he's much calmer. There's no tempest in his mind. He doesn't seem too cluttered by what's going on. And I think that is adding to his longevity. Dinesh Karthik and Shikhar Dhawan batchmates, calmer in the head, in a happier place. So I think because Shikhar Dhawan has adapted to the situation he's faced in life, I think he's calmer. He's in a better position, in a better place in life.
Well, at the moment, he'll be out on the field with his mates in red trying to defend this total. Before we wrap, I think a quick glance at the bowling effort from the men in yellow. And will Punjab, or can Punjab take a leaf out of their book, or Dooley, is their attack just very, very different?
Yeah, I think it is a vastly different sort of attack. But you look at the guys that tried to take pace off the ball right at the bottom. Pretorius has gone for 50 and Bravo's gone for 42. So they've gone for over half the runs in their 8 overs, and they tried to take pace off the ball. So maybe there's something in that as well. And, Mitch Santner just bowling the 2 overs, none for 8. Now, I know that the 2 left-handers were in, and that probably contributed to him and Jadeja not bowling their quota out. I thought Thikshana was good, and I thought Mukesh Chaudhary. I mean, there was some cracking shots played by Shikhar Dhawan, a couple of sweeps in particular, and that one that he worked off a roundabout off stump, I thought was a great shot. So I thought he did a pretty good job.
12 potential overs of spin they had there, Harsha. Not going to quite get that from Punjab. Rahul Chahar will be there with his quota of 4, but not too much else, even in terms of part-timers to look around for.
No, it's not the strongest bowling attack. One of the reasons you look at that 187 and you don't say 100% they'll win, it's not the strongest attack. I have a lot of time for Arshdeep. If Rahul Chahar bowls well, that's fine. And Rabada's the key guy, but they will target the 5th bowler, which is Livingston and Rishi Dhawan. That's guaranteed they'll do that. So Rabada has to do well. Sandeep Sharma has to do well. I think Arshdeep and Chahar will look after themselves.
Yeah, let's not forget that 5th bowler. That's something they'll look out for. How much will Liam Livingston end up getting to bowl? Rishi Dhawan coming in to the tournament, so he'll have to feel his way into the game. Well, that's what we have. 187 on the board. Men in yellow trying to chase it down. We won't even get down to their champion chaser down the order. For now, it's going to be the top order. It's going to be about Uthappa. It's going to be about Ruturaj Gaikwad. We've seen one big innings from him. Can we see another? Power play predictions, gentlemen, since we were all off the mark in terms of the actual number for Punjab. What's Chennai going to get in 6 overs?
47.
6 overs, 47.
43.
6 overs, 47, 43. That's the way they play, Uthappa and Gaikwad. Can I go lower? I can go lower. I will go lower. I'll go to 39.
No, depends on what you want.
No?
Depends on what you think.
No,
it's not
no.
whether you decide where you can go.
No, I'm predicting. I'm going for a prediction more than what I want. Tend to bias these.
Go what you want.
No, 39.
You want to wear yellow and orange. You wear yellow and orange, right?
Red.
So you go what you want.
Yellow and red.
Is it red? Oh. Okay.
How many did you go?
I'll take your word.
39.
39. So just 4 away from me.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not leaving much room. That's fine.
Cool.
I think you're still in a better position to squeeze things around. But yeah, they need a few runs in that power play. It should be an interesting run chase. One quick reminder, 10th over is when we come on with Cricbuzz Combox just to see how Chennai are going at the halfway mark. For now, from Harsha Bhogle, Simon Doull and myself, that's all on Cricbuzz Live.